New year means new projects. Like all the projects, right? Like I can just keep casting on and casting on and casting on all the projects that I want to, right? Hey there, Fiber Junkies! Welcome back to the Color Cauldron. I'm Johanna, the owner and dyer behind Push and Yarns and host of this podcast. If you are a returning viewer, you probably noticed that we went 2 whole weeks without a video over the holidays, and that was completely unintentional. So a couple weeks ago, I announced, the week after Christmas, I just announced I was just busy with family and craziness happening, and then my husband got super sick right after Christmas and I was taking care of him. And so I decided it just wasn't necessary to get a video out, and I did not have any videos already recorded. I had planned to record videos before the holidays so that I could just release them over the holiday without having to do the work over the holiday with families, but I got behind on my schedule and didn't get that to happen. So we skipped 1 week, which was totally fine, and I was like, totally okay with it. And then I had planned to come back the first week of January and have a new video for you, and it did not happen because after my husband recovered, I got really sick, and I was sick for like a week with this terrible cold, which you might still hear some in my voice because even though I'm feeling much better and have a lot more energy now, I still have a little bit of a sniffle and a sneeze every now and then. So I'm a little sniffly still. And then right as I was recovering from that, I was getting ready to go out of town for the Winter Wool Fest in Wamego, Kansas, which I know I saw some of you guys there, so thank you to everyone that came out and joined me at the show. That was great. But unfortunately, I do have to apologize to everyone that met me at the show. If I was not like on my game, or if I acted a little out of it or a little like standoffish or odd that day, I was trying really hard not to let it affect me, but I actually was really sick that weekend too. I had just come off of the cold. I still wasn't totally recovered from it, but mostly feeling pretty good, and I felt like I had a lot of energy. And then we drove down Friday to the show, my husband and I, and we got my booth set up at the show Friday evening, and we went out to dinner and then head back to our hotel for an early night, and we were just gonna watch a little movie and go to bed and get up early the next day for the show. And I don't know, I got a terrible migraine, and then I could not fall asleep, and turned out I still am not sure if I had like a super quick 24-hour bug or if it was food poisoning, but I think I might have gotten food poisoning because it just came out of nowhere, and like I was feeling totally fine ahead of time, but I was very sick and I didn't sleep at all that night. I spent the entire night in the bathroom hugging the toilet. So that was very unexpected and unfun. And so the next day I was very tired and a little out of it, even though I was feeling better after getting it all out of my system, literally. And so yeah, I'm sorry if you met me and I seemed a little weird or like less energetic and friendly than I do on these videos. It was really just, I was in a fog that whole day, and my brain kept shutting down like in the middle of talking to people, and then I would just like not be able to finish my sentence, or I would say something really stupid and be like, I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. So my apologies. I don't think I was contagious because I really do think it was food poisoning. It kind of had all the marks of food poisoning, even though I still haven't been able to figure out what it was that I ate that gave me that. But yeah, it was gone almost as quickly as it showed up. I was pretty miserable on Saturday, but certainly nothing like I had been Friday night. And then, you know, we packed up and went home that evening, and by the time we got back to our house, I was already feeling a little better. And then I took some medicine and went to bed because I still had the migraine. So I took some pain meds that really like just have a sleep aid in them, and they knock me out. And I slept like 14 hours or something, and I felt fine on Sunday, except for a little bit of this cold that's hanging on. So I'm sorry for all that, and I'm sorry I sound like I'm still a little sick, but that was why there was no video. I even filmed a video last week, early in the week, and it wasn't anything exciting or special. It was just kind of what I'm working on, and there was no way I had time between the show and being sick. There was no way I had time or energy to edit a video, and I went back and watched it, and it was really bad. I think I was still recovering from the cold enough that it was rough. So we just deleted that video and started fresh today. So here we go. New year, new me, new you, hopefully, and yeah. So today I'm just going to do a little catch up on where I'm at. As the intro to this video states, I have startitis real bad. So I've decided to show you guys a couple projects that I'm working on, one thing that I finished, And then I just caked up a bunch of yarn a couple days ago. I haven't actually cast them on yet, but I did knit a gauge swatch because I've got 2 more garments that I'm about to start, and in that entire time I'm also planning another project. So I have it real bad. It's so funny too because I was wanting to pick a new project, and so I started to go through my stash. And I told my husband, like, I love what I'm working on right now because I have a couple big projects I've been working on that I really love. And we're going to look at those here in a sec. But I just, like, everything I was working on was like, I kind of have to pay attention. And I was doing a lot of garments. Like, I'm working on a big cardigan sweater right now where it's not at all difficult, but it's one of those things where you have to pay attention because you're like picking up stitches for the button band and picking up stitches for the sleeve, and there's a lot of little like do this intricate picking up stitches, making sure you're getting all the stitches in the right spot and you're getting the right number and everything. And then once you get them picked up, it's easy knitting for a couple of rounds or for a few rows, and then it's like, okay, place a marker and do this, and then place another marker and do all this. And you just kind of have to focus, and you have to have your notions bag with you, and you've got to have, like, as this cardigan has grown, I'll show it to you here in a minute, but it's huge. And so it's gotten to the point where I only really feel comfortable knitting on it at home when I'm like, I've got a little bit of time ahead of me and I've got at least an hour and I can like pull everything out, and I've got this big cardigan that sits on the sofa next to me while I knit on it, and there's just balls of yarn going everywhere and stitch markers everywhere and needles hanging off everywhere and stitches on holders, and it's just not a portable project. So I wanted something that I could take with me this weekend for the show, but even coming home from the show, I was like, I just want something I can take with me, like to work at the hair salon. I always take knitting with me because if a client's running late, or I've got like, sometimes I'll have like 20 or 30 minutes in between clients, or I'll have 15 or 20 minutes while somebody's hair color is processing that I can go back and like eat my lunch and knit a little bit. And I always like to have something to knit a few rounds on at the hair salon. And so I need something portable and small that I can take with me, that I can do a little bit of a patterning there, but I don't want something that I have to spread out like pages of charts or something. And so I needed something like that. So anyways, I was going through stash and I told my husband, I have startitis really bad, so I need you to help me like choose some colors because I have like 6 patterns and like totally different yarn choices going on, and I need help narrowing it down. And so I said, you know, I have startitis really bad right now. And he goes, when do you not have startitis really bad? Oh, called out. Like, hubby has my number, hardcore. So we had a good laugh about that, and then I was like, no, but seriously. And he was like, but seriously, you always have startitis. Is this not normal for you? And I was like, you know what's not normal is I only have 3 projects going right now. And he was like, oh yeah, you're right, that's not normal. So he helped me pick out yarn. And so now I just need to cast it on. So first I want to show you what I finished recently. And it's not anything big, but I finished a pair of socks. And I'm really, really proud to show them off. Not because of the socks, actually. They're fine. They're great. I'm excited to wear them. But I just took a lonely little skein of an old colorway from my shop. A couple years ago, when I was very first getting started, my first few months in business, I did this colorway called She Dances at the Folie Bergère. And it's basically like short little runs of color with speckles, and I allowed the speckles to run a little bit more than I normally do. So there's little pinpricks here and there, but they tend to be like little like short blips of color, kind of a speckle, instead of, normally my speckles are little pinpricky spots, but every now and then I'll do one where I let the speckles run just a little bit so that you've got like a short little blip of color, and it's longer than the dot, but not as long as like when I'm hand painting a skein or something like that. I hope that makes sense. So it was one of those, and it kind of blended a couple techniques, and I never was in love with the colorway when I did it. I was like, oh, this is really pretty, but like it's okay. It was one of those where I was like, I'm proud of it. It's not like I'm not gonna put it in the shop. It didn't go in the mad science lab because it wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just kind of like, meh. It didn't float my boat. So I only dyed a small batch of that when I was first getting started, and it sold pretty well, but I had one lonely little skein that just never went anywhere, and it sat in my shop for like 2 years. And so I finally just took it and was like, this is mine now because nobody loves it and I need something very, very basic and simple for an easy portable on-the-go sock that I don't have to keep the pattern with me. So I chose the Slip It Simple pattern. I don't know if you can see that pattern up there, but because this yarn is very busy. But basically, it's just a stockinette vanilla sock with a slip stitch. Every few stitches, you slip a stitch on every other row, and it creates these columns of like raised stitches. So it's almost like a bump. There's a bit of a texture to it, but it's really subtle. This is an excellent, excellent pattern for variegated, busy, hand-dyed yarn. Speckles or variegated or any kind of like quick changing color yarn that's just got a lot going on, and you wouldn't want to do like lace or an intricate cable or something like that where the yarn is too busy and it would obscure the stitch pattern. So this is a great pattern for that. It's also a free pattern, which I love. And bonus, it was written by one of my personal friends here in Kansas City, Christine of Treasure Goddess. She's an amazing indie dyer who just does phenomenal solids and semi-solids in her shop, and she sells like mega hanks, you guys. So if you go, I'll put a link to her shop below. If you go check out her yarns, which I have not had the fortunate chance to knit with them yet, but she's on my list to try soon. If you knit with her yarns though, you can get, a lot of times her sock yarns will come in like 490 or something like that. They're a real big sock yarn hank. And she has mega hanks that are like 600 yards or 650 or something like that. I think they're 600. But they're awesome because you can get like merino cashmere nylon sock yarn for like a mega hank of 600 yards, and they're really affordably priced, and they're beautifully dyed. I mean, they're hand dyed yarn, so it's not like you're gonna find $5 skeins or anything, but I feel like for hand dyed yarn, they are definitely reasonable for such a large hank of yarn, and they just feel so squishy and bouncy. She picks really bouncy yarns for her bases. So go check her out, but she wrote this pattern, which was an excellent choice, and on her Ravelry page, you can see, on the pattern page, you can see this done up in some of her hand-dyed semi-solids, and if you do it in a semi-solid or a solid, it really draws attention to the pattern. You can see those slipped columns much more easily. Or you can use it like I've done for a really busy yarn because it's a gentle enough pattern. It is more exciting and interesting than stockinette, but it's still gentle enough that the yarn really shines as center stage. The other exciting thing about this is my sock blockers. This is my first time ever using a sock blocker in my entire life, and I am so grateful to my Secret Santa yarn swap partner, Jennifer. I am in a group of friends online who every year does a yarn and fiber themed and handmade themed gift swap, like a Secret Santa swap. And the gal who got my name this year really paid attention when I was dropping very unsubtle hints, and in addition to some lovely yarn and spinning fiber and some vintage glasses and things like that, she got me these incredible sock blockers, and they're wooden, which I really love. So thank you to Jennifer, because I finally got to experience the magic of sock blockers, and I'm totally hooked. I cannot wait to knit my next pair because they just make everything look so crisp and professional and fancy, and I'm excited. And yes, those socks are for me. Okay, so now let's show you what I've been working on. My big cardigan that I mentioned. Oh my God, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but my neighbor is playing in the backyard with his huge dog, which is an Irish wolfhound, so it actually looks like a horse. It's about the size of a small horse. And he just like let out a yell that sounded like someone was murdering him, and I think they're just playing. I hope they're just playing, but like... Okay, so the cardigan that I've been working on, I've mentioned it on the podcast multiple times in the past. It's called Groot's Cardigan. When I first bought it last year, it was called I Am Groot from the Cardigans of the Galaxy series. And I am blanking on the designer's name, but I'll put a link to the pattern below. But she changed the name to Groot's Cardigan recently, and I just love it. It is absolutely stunning. It basically has this amazing cable pattern that goes straight up the back. It is just this panel of cables right up the back, the middle of your back, and then a stockinette body. And then on the front, each of the fronts has this tiny little mini cable, which is the side cable of the main cable pattern. So you got little cable, and then a big fat cable panel up the back. It's got skinny little cables, but it's a big panel with a lot of windy traveling stitches going on everywhere. So I just completed the button band and collar that you pick up around the, you pick this up around the entire thing because it's knit all in one piece except for the sleeves. And I just finished the button band and collar a couple days ago. actually on Sunday when I was resting and recovering from the Wamego show, I finished that collar. So now all I have left to do is the sleeves and then find me some buttons to sew on this baby, and we're good to go. I'm so excited. I've tried it on without the sleeves, and I think it's going to fit amazing. I typically don't block my big worsted weight cardigans unless they have like lace or something that really needs to be opened up. So usually if it is stockinette that's grounded with ribbing like this is, it has ribbing on all the sides to like make it lay flat. So if it's that kind of a thing and it's got this pearl background cable panel, I usually don't block it. However, in trying this one on without the sleeves, I'm pretty sure that it feels like it's just a little bit tight because you knit it on smaller than normal needles, so that it's a really dense, like cardigan coat kind of a thing, almost more like a jacket. So I think that I do want to block this lightly when I'm all the way done, so I'm probably going to wait till I finish the sleeves and then just give it a light blocking before I actually wear it, but we'll see how it, once I get everything finished, it might be okay. Oh, and the other thing I have to do is add the pockets to the front. So you knit cute little pockets on it, and they're just like small little pockets for your hands in the very, very front of the cardigan, and that was part of what I loved about it, because I love pockets like all girls. And I'm really excited because it looks like just a good rustic, woodsy, go walking in the woods kind of a cardigan with all the cables, and it's like a long line cardigan, so it goes down past your butt, and it's really like cozy, like a little sweater coat. So I'm very excited. I am using my hand-dyed yarn for this. So this is the Bombshell Worsted, which is the worsted weight yarn you can find in my shop. It's just 100% superwash merino, but it's a very, very bouncy 4-ply merino. And so it's got this incredible resiliency and elasticity to it. And so it's just very, very bouncy and fun. It has great stitch definition for the cables, which is why I chose it. And it's also just really, really cozy. And all of my yarn says hand wash on the labels, because with indie dyed yarn, you just want to be careful, and I never know what people are doing to things in the washing machine. But I have washed this in the washing machine, well, not this exact one, but I've washed this yarn in the washing machine on the delicate cycle with cold water before, and then laid it flat to dry, and it was totally fine. So I love that it's washable, it's super cozy, it's super snuggly and bouncy, and it has great memory, so it keeps its shape really well. I'm very much looking forward to finishing that cardigan, and I feel like it's coming along, for how big a project it is, it's coming along pretty well, because I've been looking at this pattern for forever, and I picked out my yarn and dyed it up like a long time ago. I just didn't start it until like the week before Christmas, so I feel like it's been like 3 or 4 weeks and it's almost done, and I've been working on other projects at the same time, so I think that's pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about what I want to be knitting. I actually have one other project I'm working on right now, but it's a gift for someone, and I'm not sure if that someone is watching my podcasts or not, but it's possible that they are. So just in case they're watching, I'm not going to show you the other thing that I'm knitting. So let's talk about what I want to be knitting. The first thing I want to be knitting is, actually, I just bought 2 new patterns on Ravelry, and new as in I just purchased them last week, but they've been in my cart for like a year. So bad, it's so bad, because I knew I was gonna buy them, but I have this tendency to buy patterns on a whim, just like without thinking, and then I stash them in my queue for like forever, and I never actually get around to knitting them, or I don't knit them for like months or years later. And so either that, or I buy them and immediately cast on and knit them right then. There's literally like no in between. There's no buying a pattern, waiting a week or 2, and then casting on once I have the yarn acquired or something like that. It's literally like I've got everything. I'm going stash diving right now, or I just bought like a sweater quantity, or I'm at the festival or the yarn show and I'm looking at patterns on my phone and I'm like, oh, this one's cute, and here's the yarn for it, buy, grab, and then I go cast on immediately. Or I do that thing where I just see a cute pattern on Instagram, I immediately go to Ravelry and buy it, and then I just don't get around to finding the yarn or casting on or whatever. So I've been looking at these 2 patterns for like a year, and I finally decided to get over myself and just buy them. So the first one is the one my husband helped me pick out colors for, and both of these patterns are by Suzanne Summers on Ravelry, or Sosu Knits. I've mentioned her on the podcast many times before. She's one of my favorite designers. I adore her cute little pixie haircut that's usually some kind of rainbow color. I love her style. I love that she uses brioche so much. I love that she uses indie dyed yarn so much. She's just one of my absolute favorite designers. So I'm going to knit 2 of her garments, because I've knit a couple of her shawls now. The first one is the Shusui shrug. I think I'm saying that right. Shusui or Shusui. I'm not sure how you say it. I'm going to call it chou sui, I think, because I think that's cute. I will put a link to the pattern below, but here's the colors that I chose for my chou sui, or chou sui, however you say it. So these actually look very different, but they're the same yarn. I've showed these on the podcast before. This is Vocabulary Yarns, who I met in Tennessee back in November when I went to Fiber in the Borough. They're an amazing group of girls that have, 3 girls that have a company together that are friends, and one of them is the dyer, and then the other 2 do like graphic design and sales and marketing and things like that. It's really cool that they all work together. But the dyer is just amazing. Her eye for color and her techniques are phenomenal. I just found them in November. I'd never heard of them before, and this is the only yarn I've ever purchased from them, but I am obsessed and I love it. So I definitely bought some yarn from them, and I have been hoarding it, trying to figure out what was special enough to use it on. But I had 2 skeins of their Blueface Luster and nylon sock base, and the colorway is called sari, like the Indian saris that women wear. And they're actually the same color, just from different dye lots. So one has more gold and is a little bit darker, and this one's a little bit lighter. So I'm probably going to, normally I would alternate skeins, but because of the way the chou sui cardigan is, I think I'm going to start with like the lightest one at the top and then work my way into the darker one probably, so it's almost like a fade. That way if there is a major color shift and it's actually noticeable, first of all, it might not be noticeable, but if it is noticeable, then it will kind of just look like an intentional fade or progression from the light to the dark. So I'm really excited about that because I'm obsessed with these colors. It's just a bunch of like orangey golds and like kind of aqua bluey greens and little flashes of hot pink and white, and oh, it's so good. It's so good I could eat it. It's like candy. So that's going to be my main color, and then the chou sui cardigan is actually written for 2 main colors, like a main color and a contrast color, and you need 2 skeins of each. And then there's like a 3rd color that you just do like little edging in, so you don't need a full skein of it. I decided that I am going to do the main color as those 2 skeins, and then I'm going to have 2 separate colors for my contrast color that's on the back side of the brioche. So it's going to be like a fade, and I'm just going to like fade from one color and then alternate for a little bit to fade the 2 colors and then do the next color. So my fade colors are going to be, the first one is actually not available anymore in my shop because this was one of our mystery club colors from last year. This, it's all caked up now, but this is the Aquarius. I think I called it like Doorway to Aquarius, but I'm just calling it Aquarius now. Aquarius Superwash Polworth that we did last fall. I think it was in August or September. And it's basically just sections of white with aqua, bluey greens, and teals, and then some little gray speckles. So it's a really fun, aquatic, bright kind of colorway, and I loved how it looked next to this. It kind of picks up those lighter, softer shades of aqua and kind of balances that out. Plus orange and blue are complementary on the color wheel, so really pretty there. So this will go at the top on the back, and then it will fade into on the bottom. I wanted something that would ground it a little more, so I'm going to fade into this lovely skein, which I've already showed on the podcast before it was caked up. This is Barnyard Knits, and it's their Superwash Merino Nylon Sock Base, and it is called Bear Hug, and it's just different shades of variegated browns with a few little black speckles, and I thought these looked really pretty together. I liked these together, so I think it's going to be really fun and pretty, and it'll add more color. The sample on the Ravelry page of the chou sui is not super colorful. It's kind of more of a subtle blend of colors, and I wanted mine a little bit more dramatic and colorful. So that's what I'm going for on that. And then I don't know about the final color. I might just use, I'm thinking I'll just use those colors. I might add a little contrast on the bind off of like a super bright neon or something, but I haven't decided. I'll decide when I get there. What I like about the chou sui is that it's big and loose and roomy. It's like a huge extra large shawl, but it has sleeves and hugs your body a little bit better and is actually like a cross between a cardigan and a shawl. So I want to make this for just like snuggling around the house and lazing around and feeling, you know, luxurious and pretty and warm and snuggly. And I haven't decided if I'm going to make mine with or without tassels, but I'm obsessed with big fat tassels, and I made Suzanne Summers' You Rock shawl last year, and I put the big old tassels on, and it was the first time I put tassels on a shawl, and I'm obsessed. I can't stop wearing that shawl, and I get compliments on it all the time, and I just love the tassels. So I might put tassels on my shrug, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to cast on that I've already caked up yarn for is also a Suzanne Summers pattern, and it's also a garment. It is the Boxy Chevrons, and this one is the one I'm really nervous about. I knit a gauge swatch and got gauged first time out of the gate, which never happens for me, so I was excited. I shouldn't say it never happens for me. It actually does happen fairly frequently, but I feel like it's usually like it's close but not exact, and so I just kind of fudge it. And this one went pretty smoothly and well. But I'm really nervous about this pattern because I am a small, petite woman. I come from what we call the Hobbit family. We're all very short. Even my dad is like 5'6", and he's the tallest one of our family. Most of us women are like 5'2", like me, or my sister is barely 5 feet tall. My other sister is like 5'4", like my mom. We're kind of a small family. And like everything about our family is just tiny. Like we all have tiny feet, we all have tiny hands. Like even my dad has like tiny feet for a guy. So we're just small. And so one of the things that I had to learn early on, being a hobbit, is that there's just not a lot of voluminous clothes that look good on us. We tend to either look like pinheads or little children dressing up in our parents' clothes, or just really fat and boxy and short and round and odd. So I have typically tended towards more fitted clothes, or I do like some loose flowy tops if I wear them with like skin tight leggings or skinny jeans or something like that, but I don't want them to be too big. And I've even found that sometimes even when I buy pants in the petite section, which usually I don't do because for some reason petite section is like old ladies that are short. In most cases, I feel like all the clothes in the petite section are old lady and short. So I usually just shop in the normal section because they have a more variety of styles in regular sections. And then I just have to cut like a foot off of all of my pants because I have super short legs. So I'm just kind of used to that. The Boxy Chevrons makes me really nervous because it's designed to be huge, voluminous, and boxy. It's got like a 20-inch positive ease or something stupid like that. The average modern clothing is 4 to 6 inches of positive ease in your bust line. I tend to make mine with 0 to 2 inches of positive ease, unless I'm going for a vintage fit, and then it's 0 to -2 inches of positive ease, sometimes as much as -5 inches of positive ease, because I like my knits to stretch and I like a really fitted look. So, and if you're not sure about negative and positive ease, you can go back and watch my sock series from last year where we talked about what's the deal with ease. It's all about ease and what positive ease, negative ease is, etc. But it's basically making it to your bust measurement bigger or smaller depending on how you want it to fit. So I'm nervous about this because it's like if your bust is a size 32, you're going to probably be knitting like a size 50-inch bust or something ridiculous like that. This leaves a lot of, like literally if you look at the pattern picture, she puts her arms out like this, and like all of this is like, it's just like a big rectangle on her body. But then when her arms are down, it's like real drapey and loose and flowy, and it looks super cute, and the sleeves are really fitted and skinny, and then this huge flowy body, and it looks really cute when she's like posed right. But I'm just worried that I'm gonna just look like I'm swimming, and I'm gonna look like very, very short and fat and boxy and like this. So I put this off for a year because I'm terrified of it. I've never knit a boxy pullover in my life, but I keep hearing all these people of all these different body shapes and sizes talk about how great a boxy top is and how like easy it is to wear, how casual and cute and comfy it is, how great it is for hand-dyed yarn, all these things. So I posted this in one of my yarn groups, and everybody was like, I had a couple people that were like, I think it would be great, just you know, make sure that you know what you're doing, and if you need to size down a little bit, maybe make a size or two smaller than you normally would so it's not too big, but I think it will look great. But there were only like 2 people that said that. Everybody else was like, I'm sorry, you're too small for this. This is going to overwhelm you. I don't think you're going to like it. I think it's just going to look silly on you, all this stuff. And instead of listening to them, I was like, screw you, I want to knit it. So here we are. And I'd already picked out the colors like 6 months ago. I was playing around with yarn in my shop, and I am obsessed with this speckle that I dyed this summer. This is April in Paris. It actually has not sold very well. Whoops. Surprisingly, I did sell the first batch fairly quickly, but it just hasn't sold that great. And I can't figure out why, because I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. It has a really soft peachy pink tonal background, and then it's like a busy speckle full of bright pops of neon and dark pink and purple and blue and this neon yellow, and it's phenomenal. It's very joyful and happy and girly, and so I had several skeins of that, and that is my Dragonfly base, which is the Superwash Blueface Luster and Nylon. And so I'm going to use that as my main color for the body, and then my contrast color that's going to go across the sleeves and the yoke is going to be my sparkle base, the Seductress Sparkle Stellina base, and this is the Samhain colorway, the black tonal that I absolutely love and am obsessed with. And yes, I did just knit a shawl with that a few months ago, and I don't care. I'm knitting something else with it, and I want to make a sweater next. I'm obsessed with it in this Seductress base. It's so beautiful. I love it on all the bases. It's phenomenal as just a really good grounding color or a really good basic black or a guy-friendly color. If you have it in the non-sparkle bases, it really is fabulous in those bases as well. But something about with this subtle Stellina sparkle in it just makes my heart sing. So I think these are going to be astronomically beautiful, and that is what I'm going to make my boxy chevrons out of. I'm very nervous, you guys. I got gauged, but the smallest size of the pattern is still like 40 inches around the bust or more, and I'm a size 34 bust. So I'm a little nervous that I am going to look like a pinhead swimming in this. And I've been looking at everybody's project notes on Ravelry for literally months, and it seems to be the general consensus that the majority of people, regardless of their size, are knitting the sleeves 1 to 2 sizes larger than they're knitting the body. With only a few exceptions. However, I really do like my sleeves pretty tight and skinny, but I have had trouble in the past with knitting sleeves that are really designed to be skinny at the size recommended for my size and having them be too tight. So I'm gonna have to really pay attention to the schematic and figure out what I want to do about that. But that's what I'm thinking. I hope I don't regret this decision. I will keep you updated on how that goes. I still haven't cast on, I've just knit the gauge swatch, so I'm planning to cast that on probably later this week or next week, and I will try to keep you updated and show you in progress videos as we go. Speaking of in-progress videos, I wanted to encourage everybody, if you are not already following me on Instagram, to click the link in the description box below to go to Instagram and follow me. The reason I want to encourage you to do this, besides the fact that I just love Instagram, it's my personal favorite social media outlet with all the beautiful, inspiring photos, and I love to post photos on there. But the reason I really want you to follow me on there is because there is a new feature called Instagram TV or IGTV. I've talked about it before on here. It's not brand new anymore. It was new last summer. And I jumped on the bandwagon just a few weeks in after they launched it. I started playing around with it before I even knew what I was doing, and I'm still not amazing at it, but I really want to encourage you to follow my Instagram and check out my IGTV channel. It's something that I don't post anywhere else. I do post a few of the videos to my Facebook page occasionally, but I don't post them all by any means. The majority of my videos are over on Instagram under the IGTV app. I did just recently on my Facebook and my Instagram regular feed, I posted a screenshot of my Instagram profile that had circled the IGTV icon in it, so it shows you exactly where you go on my bio page to watch my channel. You can also just go to the Instagram TV app, the IGTV app, if you have that on your phone instead, or the little icon in the corner if you're on an iPhone, and you can scroll through and browse and search for Potion Yarns, and you can find my channel that way. But it's much easier to get to my videos if you just go to my profile and click the IGTV button underneath my bio, and it will take you right to my channel, and you can scroll back and see old videos, you can see the most recent videos, etc. The reason I want to encourage you to do that is because I upload a lot of short videos. Usually they have to be under 15 minutes long, and I try to keep mine 5 to 10 minutes tops, and occasionally I'll have one that's only a minute and a half. But they're just little snippets about my day. So it's like a vlog style. So I do ones where I'm dyeing yarn and I show you what I'm dyeing or talk about colorways. I tell you stories behind the colorways. I talk about my day and just what I'm doing, sometimes at the hair salon, sometimes out shopping, sometimes around my house, cleaning up, labeling yarn, whatever. I show my kitties, I show my hairstyles sometimes, or talk about like my outfits for the day. But mostly I talk about what it's like to be an indie dyer juggling another job at the hair salon and juggling yarn and going to events. I love to post videos from my events. Because I was ill this last weekend, I didn't get one from Omego, but usually I'll show an IGTV video of my event when I'm all set up in my booth space or walking around talking to other vendors or something. And so I wanted to encourage you to do that because this last week we showed a sneak peek of the Mystery Yarn Club. So this year for yarn clubs, I'm doing kind of a combo of what I did last year, where I'm doing a mystery themed club. You get to see inspiration photos, and I give you keywords. So this year we're doing stars of the silver screen. It's going to be ladies and gents of the golden age of Hollywood, so from the 1920s to the 1960s, and we pick a different star each month, and I show you their photos, and I talk about different keywords that their personality represents to me. So this month is Rosalind Russell. Keywords were things like bold, sassy, independent, witty, fast-talking, strong, and so we use those keywords and other colors that bring about the mood or the style of the person that I'm interpreting, and create a mystery club color. So if you go to my page and you click on the mystery club, you just see the inspiration photos of the actress, and you get specs about the yarn, like details about the yarn bases and things and some of those keywords, but you don't get to see the yarn until it arrives in your mailbox. However, I know not everybody likes that, so I also offer the opportunity for sneak peek photos where you can see the yarn ahead of time if you want to see it before you commit to ordering. So there is a link in the product description that is bolded, and it tells you to click here for a sneak peek. If you click that, you can go see the photos, then click back to the product page to order. I also did a video on my IGTV channel where we looked at those colors and showed them off. And I decided I'm going to do that this month on the podcast. I'm not going to do it every month, but since this is our first month, I decided I wanted to do that today. So, spoiler alert, if you do not want to see the club color ahead of time, if you want to keep the mystery and the suspense and surprise, stop this video now, because I'm all done talking about what I'm knitting right now. We're not going to say anything else about that. I have nothing else to talk about except club colors and goodbye. So if you're not wanting to ruin the surprise, I'll see you later. Head out now. I don't want to ruin it for you. I'm the kind of person that I love a good surprise, so I would not want to ruin the surprise. I would be turning off the video and jetting. I will see you guys next week if that's the case. For those of you that want the surprise to be spoiled though, I'm here for you, and I'm going to show you the yarn. We're just going to give everybody a second to turn off the video, to look away, to close their phone or their tablet, etc., etc. By the way, don't you just love my ring? My sister-in-law gave me this ring for Christmas, and I'm absolutely obsessed with it. It's just really fun and cute, and I have hard to fit fingers because I have fat knuckles and skinny bases of my fingers, so I love that it's stretchy, and it can fit on any finger of my hand that way. Okay, now that everybody is gone and we're not going to ruin the surprise, I want to show you the club colors. So this month is Fast Talking Dame is the colorway. It's named for Rosalind Russell, the actress from the 1930s and 40s who was in The Women. She was in His Girl Friday, my personal favorite film of hers, Auntie Mame, which is also a favorite, Gypsy, a whole bunch of other movies. And she usually played someone who was pretty career-oriented, sassy, modern career girl. A couple of times she would play something different, like in The Women she plays this like bitchy, gossipy, like caricatured version of just the annoying friend who's always spilling your secrets and everything. But in a lot of her films, like His Girl Friday and stuff, she played a free-spirited, sassy, independent, strong woman who could give any man a run for his money. And so I wanted to encapsulate that bold, strong, feminist characteristic of her. And so I created a special yarn just for her, and here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Here is the yarn, Fast Talking Dame in all of its glory. I'm actually really happy with this colorway. Not that I would be unhappy, but honestly, when I was creating it, I went through, I created a couple other colorways first using different colors, some of the same colors, but also some different ones. And while I loved them, none of them said Rosalind Russell to me. So I got them done and I was like, this is stunning and beautiful, but it's not her. So I kept going, and this is what I came up with. And as soon as I pulled it out of the dye pots, I was like, this is her. This is 100% Rosalind Russell. If I could encapsulate her in a skein of yarn, this is it. So I'm really happy with how this came out. This is a variegated skein, which means that it has sections, short runs of color that alternate throughout the skein. So you'll get like a flow of color moving from one color into the next. And there's no set pattern. It's not self-striping or anything. depending on your gauge, your project type and size, and your knitting technique, whether you're knitting back and forth or in the round, it will distribute the colors differently. So I can't tell you for sure it won't stripe or pool, because it just depends on what you're knitting and how you're knitting it. But it's not designed to stripe or pool. It's designed for a random flow of color. And it uses this gorgeous teal, this really dark teal, which is what I really wanted to pull some of her like strong, independent characteristics. And then this gorgeous red. I used two different reds. I used kind of a bright blood red or cherry red mixed with a deep dark kind of cranberry red to kind of pull out that like idea of fierceness and fiery spirit and kind of sassy independence. And then it's grounded with this really fabulous it's kind of a brown, but it's a very cool toned brown. So I wanted to have a lot of like a grounding kind of down to earth colorway, because I feel like Rosalind Russell is very glam, but she's always down to earth and approachable. She's never like the really over the top glamorous where she just seems otherworldly and kind of set apart. Like, she's the kind of gal who will look amazing and glam and wear stiletto heels and an amazing little hat and this fabulous gown, but she's prepared at any second to lift up her skirt and chase the criminal or whatever it is, you know? She's just very, very down to earth while still being elegant, and so I wanted something that would encapsulate that feeling in the yarn, and I feel like I really hit it with these. So I'm super proud of these skeins. I'm super happy about how they turned out, and the best part about this club is you get to pick your base. So you can choose a worsted weight, a DK weight, both of those are superwash merino, or you can choose from two different fingerings. There is my Foxy Sock, which is what these are dyed on, superwash merino and nylon, and there is the Fairy Wing fingering, which is a superwash merino and silk blend. It's a luxury blend. It's going to take the colors very similar to this because it is a two-ply structure like this one, but it's going to be just a little bit lighter and more have more sheen to it. So it's going to be like a very sleek, bright, deep kind of a color. The silk is just amazing at picking up these dyes, and deep colors like the teal and the red in this are just going to glow on that silk base. So I can't wait to show you how those turn out. But that's your options, so click over. There's a link in the description box. The very first link on every video is the link to my shop where you can see all of my yarns for sale. You can find that on the home page at the very bottom, or you can find it under Yarn Clubs and Collections, and you can order however many you want. This club is designed to be a one-time purchase, so you're not signing up for the year or for a couple of months. It's just this 1 month, so you're only signing up for that colorway. You choose your base yarn, and then you choose how many you want. So if you want one of each of the 4 bases, you go in and you put one of each of the 4 bases in your cart. If you want 6 of them to make a sweater, you put 6 in. It's however many you want, and I dye it to order, and it will ship out at the end of the month. Once this club is done, on the 15th of the month, this club goes down. It goes in the vault. That means this colorway will not be coming back for at least a year, and it's quite possible that this year's clubs might not ever come back. I'm thinking about making these exclusive, but I haven't decided for sure. So this might be your only chance to get it. I'm also thinking what I might do this year is do a thing where you can't get the individual colors anymore, but at the end of the year I might offer a collection where you can buy it all 12 skeins at once. I don't know. I'm thinking about that, so leave a comment, let me know if you think that's a good idea. But I'm thinking about doing that. However, I'm not sure that you'll be able to get this colorway again, so if you are at all interested, now is the time to act before the 15th of January. And if you're watching this later after the club is passed, I'm sorry that it's probably not available, but yeah, make sure that you click subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you stay up to date on all of my videos, and that way you'll see clubs when they are available. Also, like I said, I'm not sure I'm going to show the sneak peek every month on the podcast. I kind of just wanted to try it out this time and see how it goes. We may not do that every month, so you will probably also want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook so you can keep up to date on new clubs when they come available and make sure you don't miss any of those. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you are having a wonderful start to 2019, and I will see you later, but it is now time to cast off. Love you!